Hi, I'm Brian Atkins, the CEO of Dennison Consulting. I appreciate a few minutes of your critical time. I know for many of you, time is at a premium during this battle with COVID-19. My hope is that you will find what I have to say of value right now as you're working through these difficult times. The topic is strategy and goal setting during a period of crisis. Much of our work at Dennison is based on taking a systemic look at organizations, their leaders, their culture. It's about connecting the long term with the near term and everyday actions to the bigger picture. We know those connections will always be important. And yet, as we see today, there are times when organizations really do have their backs against the wall. They're fighting hard just to remain viable. Everyone agrees that we're in uncharted times on a global scale, and that is unique. What isn't unique is that any organization at any point in time can find themselves fighting for survival. And in such times, the line between strategy and goals can become blurred or even non-existent. A few years ago, we were working with a client organization that found themselves in just such a situation. Their sales were declining, key customers were leaving or at risk, employees were frustrated, leaders were struggling with how to move forward. And a new CEO was brought in. And I remember in our first conversation, I was explaining our work, the Dennison Model, all of the areas that we measure and develop. And he said two things that stood out for me in that first discussion. First, he said the model made perfect sense and that its value as a business tool and a roadmap for building a high-performing organization made sense as well, and he still continues to use it as such today. The second thing he said was that while strategy would be important, what the company really needed today was just a few key near-term goals that, if they achieved those, would create some wins, build some confidence among the workforce to help them see that there is a way forward, would show them that they can work together to make it happen and that they might have some control over their own destiny. In that situation, the strategy and the goals became compressed, less delineated than we might typically see or even prescribe under most conditions. Those few key goals were set, and everyone across the company focused on achieving those goals. It was about a year later when the longer-term strategies were created, communicated, strategies that were in many ways informed by the successes and momentum they built over the previous year, as well as reconnecting with some of their key customers and a greater awareness of market needs. The strategy emerged as the company created space for that longer-term thinking to happen. Initially, that CEO had said to me, if I go out there and I start talking about strategy at a time when people are wondering if we'll even be here in 6 months, they're going to think I'm out of touch. And I think he was right. So let's fast forward to today. If this current crisis has had minimal impact on your organization, then your strategies remain viable and important to your long-term success. If, however, your organization is experiencing significant change, if you feel like your back is against the wall, focus on the here and now. At Dennison, we created a very simple yet effective model using the letters CCCR. They stand for create, communicate, clarify, and reinforce. And that model can be applied in a variety of ways. We use it when we're talking about vision and sometimes strategy and values in organizations. In this context, let's think about it in the situation of goals. So first, we need to create goals. What are those few key goals that we want everyone in our organization focused on today? The second C stands for communicate. So we have to communicate those goals out into the organization. So again, there's great awareness, great understanding. The third C is clarify. This is where we need to have conversations, dialogue with employees to help them understand how those goals relate to the work that they're doing day in, day out, how they can contribute. And then finally, the R is reinforce. So letting people know how those actions are impacting the work that's getting done, where we need to make course corrections, and celebrating some successes along the way. If you follow those steps, you can provide some focus at a time of ambiguity. You can instill some confidence at a time when our belief in ourselves is being tested. And you can create a point of connection when our colleagues are often physically isolated. We wish our clients and businesses across the globe great success right here, right now. We want you all to be safe. We want you to take care of your colleagues and your families and friends. And we want you to know that at Denison, we'll be sharing some of the insights that we've learned in the days, weeks, and months to come so that we can all not only survive the near term, but thrive down the road. Thank you again for your valuable time.